So obviously we've just seen the finished product, but you will have, your first encounter with Frederick will have been when you read the script. You told us not to judge him too harshly.
Yeah.
What was your first reaction to him when you read the part?
Well, when I read the first episode, as we've seen now, I thought, well, what a cold-hearted man. Need to put some warmth into him along the way.
And he, Frederick, is a lawyer, I think I'm right in saying?
He's a lawyer, yeah.
Yeah. So let's get the family tree straight, because there's quite a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Veronica's been putting it about over the last...
It's a modern family.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
It is.
Even though a lot of it was created in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
So Gro is her eldest daughter.
She is.
And Gro is the daughter of Thomas, who is the guy that we see, is Jesper Christensen, who many people will recognise from his turn as a Bond villain in Skyfall, I think. And so Veronica and Thomas are not still together.
No.
But he's living in a caravan in the...
Yeah, he kind of stuck around and,
So, and then we're presumably going to find out a lot more about your paternal side of the family. Is that right?
Eventually, you might.
Because...
Sorry, I can't really...
Yeah, we don't want to give too many plot spoilers away, but well, look, there are some things that we know already. The house is called Gronagar.
Yeah.
You're called Gronagar.
I am.
So that means, presumably, your father was called Gronagar.
He was.
And he was Carl.
Carl Gronagar, yeah.
And he died.
Yeah.
So presumably, it was his house before it was Veronica's house.
Well, they when Thomas and Veronica split, Carl and Veronica got, they married and they moved to Gronegard, and like I said, Thomas, he just went along on that ride, came knocking one day and said, "Can I just stay for a couple of days, months, years?" Yeah.
And he gives rise to quite a lot. I mean, it's a very visual production, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's very cinematic. How did that come about, the sort of...
We wanted to, it being a story about an art family, we wanted to have the feeling of the arts in the pictures as well. So we had a set designer who's amazing, Mia Stensgaard, who did a really, I think, tremendous job on the whole show, actually. Yeah.
And that house, the interior of that house, complete with the, the ceilings that have been sawn through, and the bit with where the Christmas tree goes up in that first episode. That all exists, doesn't it, in a TV studio on the outskirts of Copenhagen?
Does. Yeah, it does.
So Thomas creates some of the percussion and the sort of excitement in it, but both you and Emil are Carl's sons.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So does that mean that you and Emil are close to each other?
Well, I think all the three of us are close, but of course, Frederick and Emil are probably a bit more close. Maybe a bit more close.
How would you describe Emil's character? Because he's off in Thailand, isn't he, in that first episode?
He is, and he's living the life of the careless, free-spirited son, I think. But like I said in the intro, there might be more to him.
Right. and more to Frederick too.
Oh yeah, definitely. So,
and of course, then the spanner in the works, if you like, is obviously Sunshine Senior, the young daughter, who is the product of an affair. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but she now has a letter in her hand which says, "I want you to have the house," signed by Veronica.
Mm-hmm.
And Frederick thinks he's getting the house.
Well, yeah. because it's in the will that he's going to have it.
So that could lead to some tension, perhaps?
I don't know.
I'm guessing.
What do you think?
But then there is a third plan for the house, which is the plan for the museum, which we see towards the beginning of that episode. We see a plan for a museum where Thomas is going to have to move away, and
yeah, it's quite a mess, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, let's hope it all turns out well.
And how many episodes have we got now? We've got a first series of 10.
Yeah, and then we're gonna do second series, 7 episodes, and then hopefully we'll do a third. And we don't know yet, but we're gonna do a second for sure.
So the second is being written now.
It's being written now, and we're gonna start shooting April 9th.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it? Because we in this country tend to think of Denmark and Sweden as being very happy, unmaterialistic countries, satisfied with their lot. Is this going to confirm or confound that viewpoint?
I wouldn't say that it's a series about lucky, happy people in that sense. So you might change your view there a bit. Yeah, but it is true that there is is it Denmark, I think, or Sweden, that the happiest people in the world? I think we might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the happiest person in the world?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, it is.
But is there a modern money-grabbing Denmark that is being reflected in
Well, I
this?
think the thing that we're trying to portray is inheritance. I mean, what have we learned from the '68 generation? What have they passed on to the new generation, and what are we going to pass on to the next generation?
Right.
So it's about passing on things from generation to generation, and also, of course, greed is one of those things. Yeah.
Senior, we meet her at the very beginning of the show. I'm not sure we quite saw it on the screen. I'm not sure it was the pictures actually came on when they should have done. But she's sort of coming out onto the handball court in a kind of bear costume.
Yeah.
Lost, can't see her way around.
Yeah.
Strikes me that might be a metaphor of sorts.
Might be. A girl feeling her way about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is Senior's character? How would you describe Senior?
Well, she's provincial, I would say. Uncorrupted in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She has quite a simple life, it seems, at the start.
Yeah, she has a boyfriend, she has a job, and they live in a nice little house, and she has good parents, and yeah, she seems happy.
And of course, thinking that you're now going to inherit, that she is now going to inherit a massive estate and house.
It's just
that
the topping, right?
That might seem like good fortune,
Yeah,
but
it might seem
on
like
paper.
Yeah.
But actually, maybe not.
Well, money do corrupt, don't they?
Tell me about handball.
What do you want to know about handball?
I want to know everything about handball.
Well, you would have to ask someone else than me, because I don't have a clue about handball.
Yeah, I got a
Was that a clapping for me, or was that the other room?
Yeah, well, it's hard to tell in this place.
Well, in case it was for me, thank you.
But statistically,
Yeah.
handball is massive, isn't it, in Denmark?
It is, and especially female handball is very big. And we've just, followed the male handball team as well.
Yeah.
But I'm not into handball at all, so.
No.
No.
But the cultural significance of handball is huge.
It
isn't
is, and especially in the outskirts of Denmark, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where is Grønnegård supposed to be? Where is the estate supposed to be geographically?
An island called Fyn, the south of. Are you from Fyn? We have some Fynboer in the house. Give it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anybody actually here who is also from Denmark? Anybody else who is from Fyn?
Fyn?
No?
Yeah, there's one in the back.
One in the back?
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Do you live in a big house like that? Like Grønnegård? So where is it in relation to Copenhagen? Because it seems like Gro can get backwards and forwards pretty
Well, it
pretty
takes
easily.
about, what, 2.5 hours, something like that? From Svendborg to Copenhagen? 3 hours, maybe. 2? All right. 2 hours.
Okay, 2 hours.
Yeah.
So by Danish standards, relatively close. It's not like up in the wilds of Jutland or anything.
No.
So it seems like that, I mean, the handball phenomenon is obviously going to be front and center in the program. I actually looked at the Danish TV ratings for last week.
Yeah.
Because as people in the audience may be aware, the Legacy has been getting record ratings.
We have, yeah.
2 million viewers, I think.
Close to 2 million viewers on the first episode, yeah.
For the first episode,
Yeah.
which is, you can roughly multiply by 10 to
It's a
get
third
it.
of the country that
Yeah.
watched it, yeah.
Yeah, all sitting down at the same time watching
Yeah.
The Legacy.
Drinking coffee.
Yeah, it's a burglar's delight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go out robbing. But in last week's ratings, there were only two, in the Danish top 10, there were only 2 shows. There was The Legacy and the Danish version of The X Factor. And the other 8 in the top 10 were all handball matches.
Yeah.
And in fact, the top-rated program was the final, I think, of the European Handball Championships, which was between Denmark and France.
Yeah.
So they play handball in France too. Who knew?
Don't you play it over here?
Well, they played it at London 2012.
They do.
Because obviously it's an
I don't
Olympic
even know
sport.
what that is. Uh-huh.
But you wouldn't have known that from the BBC coverage.
No.
Oddly enough, I was in Copenhagen doing a feature about the Killing during the London Olympics and turned on the TV in my bedroom, and there was handball coming from London 2012, and I was like, well, who knew? You'd never know that sport even existed, given the coverage over here. There is this sense with Signe and her parents and her boyfriend of this very close-knit community. Is that a Danish motif?
It could be, but couldn't it also be a British? Like you have close communities as well, don't you, around the country?
Well, put it this way, when I read the press pack for the Legacy, and it had a profile of Signe's character,
Yeah.
and it said she's used to finding love and support wherever she goes.
Yeah, of course.
Well, nobody feels like that in the UK, do they?
Well,
do they?
It probably depends on how far you go from your own home, doesn't it?
I'm not
if you
sure.
stay-
No,
if
you
you
see, the
stay-
gentleman. No, I don't think anybody in the UK feels like they meet love and.
It's what I mean. If you go to the small cities around the country, you might have that same...
So in Manchester and Birmingham, people. Yeah. Love and support wherever they go.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is when I interviewed Maya Ilso, who's the writer of The Legacy, or the main writer, the kind of series creator.
Yeah.
She gave me a word which means sort of associations of Denmark. Does that make sense to you? Like that people bond themselves into associations, whether it's handball or some other kind of club, and that's quite an important national value.
If by associations you mean little societies of singing in a choir.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
It is quite a phenomenon in Denmark, yeah, it is. Quite a lot of people are members of different clubs or communities.
And we'll imagine that to be, or believe that to be, a central kind of plank of their life.
It is in smaller cities around the country. I mean, not so much in Copenhagen, but smaller cities around the countries. You have this football club or handball club or badminton club or whatever, and it's like a magnet for social life around that city. Yeah.
And is that the same today as it's always been?
Jesus, the questions you.
Well, I'm just wondering why the handball club is clearly the centre of seniors.
Yeah, it
life.
is absolutely, and I think in some cities it still is that way, but it might be dying out. I'm not sure.
And Veronica herself, is she? When you watch Veronica's character, do you? Does she seem to you to be a believable Danish woman? Is there an artist on which she's based?
Well, she could be a believable Danish woman, and she is indeed a believable Danish mother, I would say.
Yeah.
And also a representative. What do you call it? For that generation,
right?
The '68 generation,
right?
So yeah, I would say quite believable.
Talk us through the process of making the show, because Maya said that it was a very cooperative, collaborative process.
Yeah, it was. Now you're asking questions that I can answer. It's not about my society. We working with this show has. There's been one word that was like the key word for the whole process, and that was trust. And we went out from there. Always trust is something you tend to add at the end of you do the writing, you do whatever, and then you start shooting, and then somebody says, oh, remember, trust. But we went from trust and then started from there. So trust has sort of like flown through the whole process. Trust yourself, trust your co-workers, trust the script, trust the idea, trust the lightning, trust whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been, you know, it's been a good it's been a good place to work from, because you could keep everything open.
Right.
Because you trusted that nobody would hurt you during the process. So you could just keep everything open.
And what does that mean practically in terms of going to work and playing the part?
It means that you could go to work, have an idea, present your idea, and then trust that it would be taken seriously and might even end up in the show. And also you could trust that if your idea wasn't taken onto the show, that it didn't mean that nobody didn't like you, or
right, that it was an insult.
No.
And so, can you give me a for instance of something that you came up with that was incorporated?
I could, but it hasn't been on.
Right. Okay.
Yet.
No spoilers. No spoilers. We don't want any spoilers. Am I right in thinking that Maya, the head writer, got Pernilla August, the director, on quite early on?
Yeah.
And Pernilla used to be an actress, I think.
She did.
And is now a very well-established, well-known director of film.
Yeah, she made a film. Yeah, she's not a really experienced director yet.
Right.
But nonetheless, a good one. Yeah.
And how did that play out? What were Pernilla's initial thoughts about how to create the project?
Pernilla was the one who introduced us to the word or the term trust.
Right.
And also in the beginning, it was a bit scary going to work because she didn't say much. I mean, you could have the ending of a take, and she would come up to you, standing like this. And you're here. Right. Go again. And you were like, go what again? Okay. And that was a bit scary because what was she doing? What was she thinking? What was she feeling? What was she? But then we learned to, along the way, through conversation, to trust that she actually was feeling something and just didn't want to spoil whatever it was and just have us to go again from where we were without filling our heads with silly thoughts or whatever.
Or with her thoughts.
Yeah, her silly thoughts, yeah.
Well, I mean, presumably her thoughts weren't actually silly when she did express them.
They could have been, I don't know.
But
But they weren't, no. When she actually said something, it was always useful. Yeah.
And the project was a long time in the gestation, I think I'm right in saying. Didn't Maya work on it for...
Gestation, I don't understand.
The creation, the development.
Yeah.
Maya worked on it for 4 years, I think?
Yeah, before starting shooting. Yeah, 4 years, yeah.
And when during that process did you get involved?
Well, actually, I think I was invited in to a first casting 3 years ago or something, as the part, the Emil part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, yeah, things changed and whatever, and then they invited me in for Frederick and casted us first alone and then as a group.
Right.
Yeah.
And am I right in thinking that that casting process was quite novel as well, was quite... that Pernilla was very keen to cast the thing before, even necessarily before a lot of it had been written. Am I right about that?
It hadn't all been written. Is everybody okay down there? Yeah, good. But we... People are dying in the back. Yeah. Sorry, come again.
Well, I'm just thinking, I think you as actors were probably involved in this project earlier than perhaps would be usual for a drama.
Well, I don't. Yeah, well, we might have been, but because we were involved and interviewed and so on, our characters were interviewed, and then they wrote on from there, implanting our ideas and our thoughts in the actual series. Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of ideas and thoughts, I'm sure people in the audience will also have theirs. Who wants to ask a question of Carsten?
I saw you in Labrador. You at the Cannes premiere. You played a part in Labrador that was also a character who had parent issues with his father. Was that right, Labrador?
Yeah, but I think the part in Labrador, the fact that he did have issues with his father.
Yeah, I was going to say, was there something that clearly with the character in Legacy there are unresolved issues. He has unresolved issues with his mother.
Yeah.
And in Labrador, your character had unresolved issues with the father.
Yeah, but the guy in Labrador is a much softer and much more naive guy than Frederick is.
Oh,
so.
Sure. But I was wondering if there was anything that kind of drew you to these characters who have these kind of emotional struggles with their. These are kind of both emotional struggles with the parents. That's the question.
Well, yeah. Well,
did everybody hear that question, by the way? Yeah. Okay.
It's of course it's interesting to portray people with problems of any kind, but also it would be interesting to try and portray a person without any problems whatsoever, and then making him into an interesting character that people would want to watch. I'm not sure that it's possible, but the fact that the one guy has a problem with his father and this guy has a problem with his mother was not what drew me to the to say yes. But yeah, I try to say yes to as many different personas as I can, not getting myself in line of typecasting, if that answers anything.
Have you had a reaction in Denmark to Frederick since the Legacy's been on? I mean, do people come up to you in the street? Or?
Yeah, they do, and it's funny because I think it all depends on which part you play in your own family. Because some people come up to me and say, "Oh, I hope you get the house," and some people come up to me and say, "Oh, you fucking bastard!" So it's like, and also when we tested it, we tested it for a test audience, and it was very different. Who like, I like this and I like that. He's a and the people, it was all different, and it changed also as the show progresses. Yeah.
Somebody here.
There's a mic
There's
on the
a
way.
mic.
Yeah.
Funding. In Britain, we've got a lot of programs that writers say won't actually get on, and all your programs just seem so fresh. I'm wondering how is it you can get the funding when some of our actors over here aren't getting it to get it on screen. I'm just amazed that how do you get the funding over there, or is it because it's such a small country that you can actually artistically get from paper or idea onto the screen and have such wonderful work?
Well, first of all, thank you for calling our work wonderful. Of course, there are a lot of ideas that are just ending up in the trash can in Denmark as well. In terms of funding, I'm just an actor, but
I promised Carsten before we came on this afternoon that I wouldn't ask him about the budget. That was my one promise to him.
But I mean, DR, when they go into something, of course, they have a lot of money to back it up with. So also what you see over here mainly are DR productions. Of course, I know that you've seen Those Who Kill. Some of you might have, which is not a DR production, but. I don't know if there's better funding in Denmark. Do you have private funding over here?
Sure.
Yeah. We have government funding in Denmark.
Yeah, I mean, DR is similar to the BBC, I think, in the way it's funded.
So yeah. But budgets is not really my thing.
You worked on, as you said, on Those Who Kill, which was on ITV3 over here, which was on TV2 in Denmark, the commercial channel.
Yeah.
Is there for those of us who are less familiar with the subtle distinctions between the channels, is there a difference for you as an actor working on the commercial channel? Do they tend to make different kinds of projects?
I think DR is more willing to take chances. Like The Legacy, I think is a chance that they took than TV2 are. Because of the funding, probably. Yeah.
You also tend to have longer episode runs in Denmark, bizarrely, than we do over here.
You do?
I mean, the BBC tends to make 4 or 6 episodes of a show, at least in the first series, and then might extend it. Is that something that you relish as an actor, to have that length of time to develop the character? Or does it become a chore?
Does it become
a chore? You know, a job, a difficult, a boring job.
No. I think it's quite nice to have the time to dive into the character and develop it over a longer period of time. And I'm really looking forward to working with Frederick also the next 7 episodes.
And obviously, don't tell us, but do you now know the plot lines also for series 2?
I know something, but I think that what I know might change. So, no. I don't. But we've talked some ideas over, and it's really funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
That first episode was not funny.
No, but not funny in that sense. It's not. We're not going to turn it into a comedy. That's not what I mean. But it's going to be really funny to work with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's next? Where's the microphone?
The
okay,
guy
so
in the middle.
This gentleman in the middle has been patiently waiting.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, your other series, The Killing, has obviously also been adapted in the US by now. Do you see that would also be possible for this series? I know there's at least one American series that I've seen only a few episodes. I think it's called Sons and Daughters or Brothers or
Brothers and Sisters.
Yeah, that's probably the one that, although I haven't seen too many episodes of it to compare, but I would say the general setting is similar. do you see the series might also be adopted in countries like the US?
Well, I hope that they're going to show our show before that they make their own. But of course, the Americans copy everything, don't they? So I think if they feel that what our story has is something that the American population would benefit from, then of course they would make it. Because I think it's easier for the American population to watch an American show than it is for them to watch a Danish show. They're not as intelligent as the British people, are they?
Well, they certainly don't. Yeah, that deserves a round of applause. They don't like subtitles, do they, the Americans?
Sorry?
They don't like subtitles.
No, they don't.
Of course, one show which has a passing similarity in the UK in the sense that there is an inheritance running through it is Downton Abbey. And I know that Maya was conscious of the potential similarities with Downton Abbey when she was writing The Legacy. Have you watched Downton? Do you like it?
I have watched a few episodes of it, but I haven't watched the whole thing. But what I have seen, I like. Yeah.
And are there other English dramas that you like? Do you watch a lot of British TV or no?
Well, I hate to admit it, just at this TV festival, but I don't watch much TV at all.
You're too busy making it.
Yeah, I like to make it, and then I like to, read books and play music and so on. So I don't watch much TV.
Okay.
Sorry.
There's a lady here. Have you got the microphone? Okay. Could everybody hear that further back? Yeah? No? No? Okay. So roughly, I'm going to paraphrase, forgive me. But the lady said that Danish drama tends to be deep in character but pared back in other respects. There's not huge production, lots of lighting and complicated production effects. And she wonders if you're conscious of the effect that you, Denmark, are having on TV drama more generally.
I have since yesterday been aware of that fact. Yes, but it makes me happy to hear, because especially on this show we worked quite a lot with the characters and went from there, because it's not a plot series. It is a relation character series more than it is a plot series. So of course we're very happy that you can also feel the characters. In terms of lightning and underlightning or whatever, of course we know, and we have also worked very specific on that particular thing. Yeah. So, but yeah, we did a lot of character work, and we did a lot of improvisations and interviewing the characters along the way. So, yeah.
Of course, two of the biggest Scandinavian dramas in this country are genre pieces, are the Killing and The Bridge, which obviously are police crime thrillers.
Yeah.
Did you have any concerns when getting involved with The Legacy that it didn't have a genre, that maybe the story wouldn't have the impetus of a genre piece?
Definitely, we did, all of us, I think. We knew that we were doing something completely different than the series we were, taking over from. And even when we were opening in Denmark, we were standing like with our hearts in our hands and thinking, will they eat it? Because it's not a crime series, and it's not about politics or whatever. It's about human beings having relations with each other. It's about a family. And then people, they just embraced it and took it on, and we are very happy, because most of us come from a family, and so we all know about the different issues that lies within a family.
Okay. Were there other hands up? Did I see?
There's one here.
Here in the third row.
The microphone coming here.
I find it really interesting, the things that are often left out and edited out, and we don't get to see them. We have to use our own imagination, and particularly in the episode we've just watched, I thought it was interesting how we didn't see how Frederick told Emil that his mother was dead. We saw a very little bit of his reaction, but they didn't play your voice. And I was wondering, do you know what you said? Was that something that you think about in the process? Because it probably would have revealed a lot about your emotions about your mother's death, but we didn't see it, so we have to infer it ourselves, work it out. So do you know what you said, and do you have a thought about what you said if you don't know?
Well, of course, I have quite an exact idea what and how Frederick would have told Emil about the death of their mother. I did not, however, sit down and write it and say this is specifically how he did it. But if Emil was here and we could do an improvisation, we could, I mean, do it rather exact. Yes.
It was fascinating, wasn't it, what Frederick said to Solveig, to his wife afterwards, which was, I wasn't going to let her spoil Christmas.
Yeah.
Even
because he had promised
the poor
that to
woman's
her,
dead, and he's thinking she's doing it to spite him.
Yeah, she was.
Okay, we've got time for 2 more questions. Did anybody have it? Oh, my Twitter friend in the front row. Wait for the mic so people can hear.
Could you give any hint at all about why you and your mother don't have a good relationship? Can you tell us why?
So why don't Frederick and his mother have a good relationship is the question.
Well, you've met my mother.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't explain it to you, then I think the lack of respect for her children, and the fact that she only respected her own ego. Apparently, that's what she did. I think that is one of the main reasons why he had enough at some point.
Okay, thank you.
And perhaps the irony is that he rebelled by becoming conventional.
Yeah, he did. He did, because in his youth, I don't know if it's in the first, that Gro says to his son, Hannah, that your father used to have, a pin in his eyebrow.
Right.
Yeah. And also, I have tattoos, me, Carsten, and we kept them for Frederick because we'd like to show that he had in his youth, been more like the artist Grønnegård situation, and then he closed up the thing along the way.
Good question. One final one. Anybody got a final? Yeah, right there.
Thank you. Is there some kind of role that you personally, as an actor, would love to do that you haven't had the opportunity yet? If you could do anything, and if so, what would it be?
Downton Abbey?
Dick Turpin, maybe. King Lear, yeah. I don't have any particular favorite role that I would want to play. No, I like to play different things and to be able to not portray the same kind of people all the time. But yeah, it's really. But of course, I could say, King Lear or whatever. But I haven't thought of any. Maybe a bum. And I have played a bum before, but maybe I would like to play a long period of a bum's life. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as good a note as any to finish on, I suppose.
Strange answer, but. I just gave it.
I want to apologise to Carsten for torturing him with my theories about Danish society and handball and
it's quite all right.
clubs. And everybody in the crowd, everybody who's been here since 10 o'clock this morning and has survived without getting frostbite, I congratulate you. Unfortunately, it's now time to finish. Please join me in thanking Carsten Bjørnlund.